What's bonking, guys? Today I am here with chapter 2 of Jorge Joestar. And last time, like the video for the first chapter, I recorded right after reading. I did that last night after reading the second chapter, and then I recorded a second take, but I didn't really like either of them, so I'm trying again here. It was pretty interesting. It was a different vibe. This was a pretty good chapter. I figure I'll talk about it. So basically, it starts with Jorge Joestar. However, this is a different Jorge Joestar, because he is Japanese. He lives in Japan, and he was adopted. So we find out his parents did not care for him. They did not even give him a name. They just gave him up to the police, and he was adopted. Now, I thought this was strange because, as I'm sure you guys know, Jorge is not Japanese. He's English. Or British, I guess. He is Jonathan and Arina's biological son. So I was very confused hearing this, and I was honestly questioning if I was reading the right story. And the beginning felt very much like Death Note. It was very like Death Note coded like section. We find out that Jorge is a detective, and he has solved like 15 murder cases. And for some reason, he's like looking at them on like a map. And he makes like this puzzle out of it. I'll put a picture of it. We actually do have some illustrations in this chapter, so that's pretty cool. But he makes like a puzzle out of it, and he finds out that there's one spot where the 16th murder should theoretically happen. So he's trying to get he's trying to get ahead of this. He's already caught the murderers for each of them, because each murder has a different, killer. He's already caught all 15, but he has a feeling the 16th one is going to happen. So he goes to the area on the map where it's supposed to be, and, he's wandering around, and he finds a house on fire. So he goes up to it thinking this must be it. There he finds a family standing outside, and they tell him that their house is flooded. I want to say that they describe it as a pool. Mind you, this house is on fire. It's burning, but yet there's water in it. And the family states that they know it's salt water because they could smell it, and that there was a boy in there. I believe they literally say he's swimming in there. So Jorge breaks the windows and saves the boy. He also describes how he knows that the water is salt, like he can smell it. He knows it's ocean water, which confuses him because he knows that there's no ocean nearby. But he saves the boy. The boy tries to speak to him in Spanish, but he starts speaking to him in Japanese, and the boy then speaks to him back in Japanese. And he explains that he left the Canary Islands, he was traveling through the Atlantic Ocean, and last thing he remembered, he was getting close to Florida, but that he was trying to come to Japan. So, he's happy to know he made it to the right place. Now, the strange thing is, his family name matches the name of the family in the house. Like the residents, like the house that he's at that's burning down, they are his relatives, but they don't know him, and he doesn't know them. And what's even stranger is Jorge does not understand what he's saying. He doesn't know of an Atlantic Ocean. To Jorge, there's only one ocean. He doesn't know of the Canary Islands. Those don't exist. And that's where it's revealed that that boy is named Tsukumojuku, and he is from 100 years in the past. So if you recall, Tsukumojuku was the name of Jorge's friend from the first chapter who died. Turns out he didn't actually die. He crossed over into the Bermuda Triangle, and he went through a wormhole, which sent him to a different universe. When Jorge found him, he noted that there was a tornado that was starting to recess above the house, and he thought that was strange, because tornadoes were supposed to suck things up, not drop things off. So somehow, Tsukumojuku, in the Bermuda Triangle, he went missing, because, that happens to boats in the Bermuda Triangle, boats and planes, and it sent him to this alternate universe. We find out it looks very different, and that's why this Jorge is Japanese, because he's from a different universe. And we find out that this world looks very different from our modern day world. It looks more like Pangea, if you guys know what that is. It's a supercontinent that existed millions of years ago, and it had all of the continents clustered together in one large landmass. That is what Jorge's world looks like, at least to me. And so they're all talking about that, comparing everything. And it's revealed that Jorge and Tsukumojuku lived very similar lives. They're both detectives, and they each solved 15 murder cases which are basically, they're called like the locked room murders. They both solved all 15 of them, but Tsukumujuku has already found the mastermind behind all of them. In the beginning of the chapter, George speculates, believing that there is a mastermind orchestrating all of the murders behind the scenes. That's who he hopes to find at the 16th scene. And it is revealed that Tsukumujuku has already caught the mastermind in his universe, along with the help of that universe's George. And so they talk about it, and it's actually really interesting. The great Malenko is basically in JoJo. Tsukumujuku finds out that the person behind it is this clown man who basically invades other people's dreams. And he feeds off of their hatred towards people, manipulating them and pushing them to commit murder, to murder these people in locked rooms. And it just so happens that, 15 of the people he manipulated, it ended up forming a puzzle. And I'm not going to get into how exactly he figured it out. It's this whole thing. But we find out that this boy has this strange ability due to trauma from his mother abusing him and assaulting him, due to trauma she had from the boy's father. I'm going to call the boy Malenko because I can't remember his actual name, and he reminds me of the great Malenko. But yeah, so this to me is the first appearance of a stand, and I can't quite remember what year stands actually appeared, so I'll look into that and I'll put it on the screen. But I believe that Malenko and the boy in chapter 1, I forget his name, I believe that they both developed stands, because Malenko talks about how he feels trapped, he feels isolated, like he's locked in a room with his mother, and that's what causes him to dream all of the time. In fact, or he might literally be locked in a room with her, I can't remember. That causes him to sleep, and he's suicidal. He hates his life, he wants to get away, he feels suffocated, and that is what manifested into his ability to invade other people's dreams, and that is why he then tries and manipulates them into killing other people in locked rooms. So to me, this is supposed to be a stand, a very dark and twisted stand, but I think it's supposed to be one, just as the boy is from chapter 1. If you recall, his mom would peel off bits of his skin, and eventually he manifested the ability to completely shed all of his skin in one piece. I believe that is also a stand, but again, I could be wrong. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And basically, George, upon finding out that Tsukumujuku caught the original culprit, he decides to talk to someone on the phone. I can't remember exactly who. I think it's one of his assistants or something. And they, check on all of them. They ask all 15 undetained murderers about their dreams, because George has, arrested all of them. And they all say the same thing. They were instructed to tell Jorge Joestar to go to Morio. The person who told him this was Yoshikage Kira. Now this I thought was pretty crazy, because this confirms that Yoshikage Kira and Morio exist in this alternate universe. And this universe, I should say, right now, this series of events takes place in 2012, if I remember correctly. It's somewhere around there. So that was pretty interesting to me, that one of the most, I shouldn't say, one of the most popular and an influential character in the original universe exists in this one as well, albeit a little different. So he seems to have the same abilities as Malenko, just in this different universe. And yeah, so I thought that was really interesting. And then at the end of the chapter, Tsukumujuku is found dead in Morio. So we thought he died in the first chapter, he didn't, but he died now. Ironically, kind of like Abdal. And so it seems like George is probably going to go to Morio. He said he wants to, in order to stop Kira. So yeah, I probably already put it in here, but I'll put all the illustrations that have shown up and all that. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mentioned in the first chapter how there's novel cars. You guys may have heard about them. I believe that this is where novel cars comes from. That's my guess. He hasn't shown up in this chapter yet, but I'm guessing, my theory is that he is going to be in this alternate universe, and that he's going to end up following George into the other universe, and I think he's going to end up fighting that George there. Could be wrong. Maybe he just fights this George or some, I don't know, but I think some tomfoolery is going to happen. So yeah, But as I said, this is the George Joestar light novel, so I recommend you guys read it. It's very interesting. You know, it is a light novel, so it's not manga. You know, it's straight reading with some occasional illustrations, but it's been enjoyable. I like it, and yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you all have a great rest of your day.